This is Lord Icon, and I'm back to bring you another episode of some ComputerCraft tutorials. What you see behind me is what we're going to work through. This is an Emmy Display unit, which will pull items from the Emmy system that's attached to. Now it can be attached to any part of it, so it can be over here on a controller, or on the drives, or on a creative energy cell. Whatever it needs to be able to pull, we'll walk through how to get that, how to get this information. This is all something that one of the commenters of one of the other tutorials requested, Freispiel. So he requested some ME being able to pull the items, and that's what we're going to walk through today. So I'm going to go ahead and terminate this, and we're going to go ahead and first we're going to look at what we can pull from the ME. So if I go here, any computer touching the ME system, I can go to this one, I can do it there, I can do it here. I'm going to open up Lua. So Lua, and I'm going to check what I can do with the peripheral. So peripheral.getMethods bottom. This one's got the thing below it, so I'm going to pull the items. So we can see here I can get the power usage, I can get the available items, different sources, stored power, crafting CPUs. But what I'm looking for here is I'm looking for what are the available items. So what will I get if I use that? So let's wrap a peripheral. So bottom here, and now we've got P wrapped for the peripheral. If I do P dot get available items, I now can see what's in the Emmy system. Now you can see there's a lot of stuff in there. I've got Forge Microbox, I've got Tinker Construct material. But what does all this mean, and how do we use it? How can we actually tell what is, size 8? Okay, this has got an MBT tag. This has got a damage tag of 1. What am I looking at? So let's go look at the ME system. You can see there's a lot of stuff in there, and there's different items that mean different things. But really what we're looking for is we're going to build this one for ores. And you can see here I've got it for iron ingots and nuggets. So to test this out, what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to pull one of the ME drives out, and that will leave just 10 nuggets. This will, it's not running anymore, but it would refresh. No matter which drives you have your items on, it will pull from the full system. So you can see 10 here had 1600, where I pulled out one drive and there's still items left. Those were being added onto the total. So now that we've got it cut down, let's go ahead and run the same method, and we can see here for the 10 nuggets, if we look at the nuggets, they're thermal foundation and thermal foundation material and damage 97. If you look at the metadata for this, where it says the numbers after the 10 nugget, the last two after the colon are the 97. So we can tell by looking at this is thermal foundation material 97. If I was to grab a different 10 nugget, there's a whole bunch of them. Railcraft, let's see, we're going to grab the Railcraft one. Throw that in there. We can now see Railcraft Nugget 3. Well, if we look here, the 3 with the metadata, and it's Railcraft material. In this case, it's Railcraft Nugget. So you'll have to look up the names. The way that we're going to build this is it's going to be using an array that we build to be able to pull each of the items that we want. So we're going to go ahead and start the new program. Edit, ME, view. Alright. So to view the items, there's a few things that we need to do. Of course, we need to wrap the peripheral. We're also going to need to display to the monitor. And one other thing that I do have here is I do have it showing in red if it gets below a certain volume. If I go over that volume, it goes to yellow, and maybe I can even make a max volume. So let's go ahead and wrap our items. So first being our ME system, peripheral.wrap, and now I'm on this computer here, so it's on the left-hand side. Left, quote, there we go. I want to wrap my monitor, which is on the right. And I want to go ahead and let's set a high. I guess you really don't need a high value, but Yeah, let's go ahead and start off with low, and we'll see if we want to add high later. We'll set low at 64 items. Alright, so now for our main array, our table, in Lua it's called tables. Our table will hold multiple items that we want to display. So we're going to tell it and build this to display on the screen the values that we want it to show. So let's go ahead and start this the variable here, Emmy items, and we will start off our first line with our first value. So 1 is equal to, and we'll just go ahead and start off with 1 to start. So 1 is equal to, and we're going to display a few items. We're going to display the name that we want to give the item, because looking here, when we look at tin, there was no name here that says this is a tin nugget in either case. So we want to display tin nugget on the screen like this. We're going to have to type it in. Tin nugget. Alright, so that's the display name. Then we're going to go ahead and add in here what is the item's actual name. So when we looked at it on the screen, again going back to here, thermal foundation : material. Thermal foundation : material. And the last is the damage, the metadata. And for this one it was 97. And we'll close our single row for our table, and we'll close our full table. So now we've got our array for our first item. So next up is, what do we want to do? So we want to be able to check the ME system. So if I go to the ME and I go function check ME, right now we're not going to have anything passed in because we don't know what we need to pass in. So the ME list equals ME.get available, and this is that one we looked up, items. So now we're creating a table for ME list. This will pull all of them out of here, build a list, and store it into here. Now we want to loop through that to get the items. So we're going to do a little for loop. For a equals 1, comma. Now we want to loop for every item there is. So the way to do that with the table is to add the pound or hashtag sign. So pound me list will say the count. What is the total? We're going to do something. What are we going to do? We're going to start listing the items out. So we're going to create a variable, item name equals me list. Now something I didn't show you is, how do I get the specific items? How do I get the size? How do I get the item ID? How do I get the damage? Well, doing this, it shows it all. But what I want to do is I want to get down to the specific item. Now you can see I have 2 items in here, and I want to pull the second one. So if I want to pull the second one, I'm going to do a bracket 2. Do I have 2 in there? I don't have 2 in there. Let's put that one back in. So if I want to pull the second one, now I can do bracket 2. It's the Railcraft. But in this case, I want just 1. Alright, so for 1, what do I want? Maybe I want the size. There we go. If I want to go into fingerprint dot, I want the damage, DMG. That doesn't like it. Did I spell fingerprint wrong? Let's try that one more time. Trying to verify it. There it is. There, yeah, it was a G. Fingerprint dot DMG. There we go. 97. So now we have the way to be able to pull these items. If I wanted to pull it together, I could pull DMG or ID, and then I could tag on to then pull the same thing, but also get the name and the ID and the damage tagged into one string. And that's kind of how we built it in our array, thermal foundation, 97. Well, we're going to be able to pull that, and we're going to be able to search for that, but first we need to set it to a variable. So let's go ahead and set the item name sub A, because we're looping through all of the items in the ME system. We're going to do this as the loop moves. So it starts at 1, it goes to 2, and so forth. So A dot fingerprint, if I can spell that right this time, ID, concatenate me list sub a dot fingerprint DMG. So now we have our item name, which is going to be, in this case, thermal foundation colon material 97. All is one variable. Well, now we're not pulling in our array yet. So what I'm just going to do is I'm going to go ahead and do print item name, and we can verify this. So let's end our function. I forgot to end our for loop. There we go. End. So we got an end there, and an end there. Now let's call the function. Check me. Done. Save. Exit. I named it me view. There we go. 2 items, thermal foundation material 97 and Railcraft Nugget 3. We're good. We can actually get the names from there if we wanted to write our array more, but we already have a way to do that. So edit me view. Next is we want to pull our array. So going here, we're going to create a function for this, which will be, let's say, check array. Let's give it a function name. Function check table. Always want to call it an array. Alright, so what do we want in our table? Or what do we want to pull? We want to pull me items, Emmy items. I keep saying me items, sounds weird. So let's go ahead and start a loop for I equals 1, and we're going to do this for every item in me items. Alright, and do. Now for that we want to print off some of the things we've done. So 1, sub 2, and 3 is what we want to compare against this. So let's go ahead and do that. So for each one, let's do a check name, and we'll give it equals 2 Emmy items sub I, because that's what we did in our for loop, dot 2, dot sub 2. Alright, not dot, just 2. There we go. So that'll give us the first part, which is the thermal foundation material. So then we want to go ahead and concatenate onto there. Emmy items sub I sub 3. So now we've got thermal foundation colon material 97 all as one variable. Again, from our array this time. So what do we want to do? We want to pass that into check Emmy. The only way to get that into Emmy is we're going to have to modify the check Emmy function. So going back to that, we're going to go up here and we'll do check name in this part here. So now we've added check name. We want to call that function. So we've got our check name here. We want to call check name and we want to send in, or check ME, when we want to send in the check name variable. So let's go to here on our next line, and we're going to go ahead and call the function check, caps on, check ME. Wow, let's try this again. Check, my keys are off. There we go, ME. And we're going to send it check name, as we just stated. So at this point, we're pretty much done with this loop. So let's end this. Let me format here. I got to indents. I like to be able to see where my ends are ending. And we'll end the function. So now at this point, we're doing a verification. We're going to pull the check name. We're going to pull this, and let's go ahead and print both. So print check name. And let's go ahead and verify the 2 by putting a variable in front. So this will be the ME equals this, dot dot. And this will be var equals this, dot dot. And we were calling check ME before. Well, now we're going to call check table. Save, exit, verify we didn't break anything by calling me view. Didn't break anything, and we printed. The ME equals thermal foundation 97, the var thermal foundation 90, bleh, it all matches there. Railcraft, but then it goes back to the first one because we don't have a match on the second one. So let's check for a match now. Edit, ME view. So right here, when we've got both of our variables, this is our check ME function, we're going to start an if statement to count, to see if these are correct. So after setting this, we'll do a little check. If item name, and I'll move to the beginning so we can see the whole thing. If the item name is equal to, double equals with a comparison statement. If it's equal to check name, then we want to do something. Well, that's when we want to, that's when we really are starting. So if, then we want to go ahead and say print the value of true. Again, checking, make sure we didn't break anything, and we did. We didn't end our if statement. So we're going to end our if statement right here. There we go, true. It just printed off those two, because those are the only two that match. ME view. So now we want to get it to the screen. So for the screen, I'm going to use functions that I built before. These are functions that if you wanted to go back and kind of get more detail, I think in the power video, I use these exact same functions. So I'm going to do one for print center and one for clear screen. So the clear screen function is just going to, every time, refresh the full screen with a blackout. So when I write my new text or new values, if something gets removed, if 10 nuggets no longer exists, but it's now platinum nuggets or whatever, it won't try to keep the old text there, which can cause issues if you have a longer name or a shorter name. So the function for clear screen, this will be pretty much our main called every time that we go through the loop. So for this one, we're going to go ahead and do on.set background. And I don't like that mon isn't being, so I've never actually called it. Set. Let's go ahead and end this. Do we have mon set at the very beginning? We sure do. There we go. Set background color to colors.black. And again, you can use whatever color. This is your default screen color, so whatever your standard background is around the full outside and all throughout, minus the background of the text, what color do you want it to be? The next part is we're going to go ahead and do a monitor.clear. Now if I set this to color.black or color.blue and then ran clear, everything's going to be blue after clear, because clear just replaces everything with a single color. Alright, so next is we want to go ahead and set our cursor to the very beginning. Set cursor position 1, 1. Done. Last part is, in this one we're going to go ahead and call our next function to put the text on the top that says what is our header name. So I'm going to scroll down here, and we're going to go ahead and we'll call it. The function's name will be center t, and it has variables, and we'll build these in as soon as we build the next function. The first variable is the text, and I'm going to do Emmy output. And I'm putting spaces on the side because if you don't, the gray ends right at the end of the letters, and I kind of like to have it a little wider. So there's the first one. We're going to set this to row 1, so that would be a line number. We're going to set the background color to colors dot, let's just change it up this time. Let's see, we used gray and blue there. Let's use blue and colors dot white. So that'd be blue background with a, actually is there a dark blue? I gotta put a space in there. Colors dot. Oh, it's not giving me anything. This one will. Dark blue. No D. Alright, so I guess blue it is. Blue, white. And then there's one more variable that we're going to pass into this function, which says this is a header. Alright, so now that we've got that called, let's go ahead and build that center function. Function center t, and we have variables. We have the text, we have the line number, we have the background color, text back, and text color, and our last one is position. Okay, and the reason why I'm doing position is I'm going to break the function up to have header, or left column, or right column. So, however we want to define position, we're going to define it in this function. So, in this function itself, we need to do a few things. We need to set some variables. We need to get our monitor X and our monitor Y, which can be built in by just pulling both of those variables with the monitor.getSize. Size. Now we want to get our set our background color to what we're passing in, which is text back. And we want to set our text color to our text color. Alright, we've used two of the variables. We haven't used our text yet, and we haven't set our flag yet, our position. So let's go ahead and get a couple of things to kind of figure out where in the center text function we want to be able to actually center it. So to be able to center it, first I need to know what is the length of string.len of text. So the text that we're sending in this variable here, we're going to say what is the length of it. It could be 100 characters. Well, if it's 100 characters, what's the center of it? Because I need to find the center of the screen. And then I got to find where the text needs to be based upon the center of the screen. So then what's the difference? The difference of that is math.floor to get us the lower end of that number, kind of round down, monitor X minus length. So the full length of the screen is, say, it's 50. And the words, there's 10 characters in the length of the word. So 50 minus 10, we're now down to 40. So now we can figure out where's the middle of the screen based upon where this text needs to be written. So X equals math.floor, and it's the div divided by 2. That's half of the screen based on the text. So now we're good. Well, if it's not, we need to go through here based on the position and figure out, well, is that going to work for all scenarios? So if the position is equal to, what do we call it, head. If it's equal to head, then we want to set the monitor set cursor position to the X. So that would be header value. That would be X plus 1. So it moves it over one space. It's better for formatting. And then the line number variable that we send in. Say what line is it coming in. You can see this one up here, we're going to do it on line 1, so it'll be at the very top of the screen. Alright, so there's the first one, and I'm going to indent. And then we're going to write that text. Right? Text. We're good. Well, next one is, say, the left hand and right hand side. So, else if position equals left, then, and we'll do one more, which is else if position right, then end. So now we got all our functions. We're going to fill those in. I'm just going to clean that up so I make sure I've got everything. Start, end, okay. So inside this one, we want to do the left-hand side. Well, the left-hand side's pretty easy because we just want it to come off the left-hand side. Let's say 2 away. So monitor.setCursor position, say 2 line, and then monitor.right. And actually, I don't have to do this each time. If it doesn't hit the function, yeah, let's go ahead and do it. .right text. The last one is for the right-hand side. So the right-hand side's a little harder because what if this is 1 character? What if this is 5 characters? Well, I can't say start from -1 from the right-hand side. I've got to say start from -1 minus the length. So if I do monitor.setCursor position, again, keep using these same functions, we're going to do the monitor x minus the length. That's now saying, okay, if it's 3 characters, 3 minus 50. We're going to put it on this line, and we're going to write it. So at this point, we haven't tested any of this. We don't know if any of this is going to work. We have our function that should write our header. So if I go down here and we do clear screen, we should, if we've written it correctly, we did not. Line 33 expected to close line 31. Edit, ME view. We'll go down to line 31. I have my open bracket. I don't have my closing bracket. So you see that? Troubleshooted. ME view. Good. And ME output. Blue background, white text. Now we're not displaying anything yet because we haven't put it into the check ME. So where do we want to print it? So inside here is where we're currently printing off these values. So it might help us if we put it in there. But one of the things that we want to print, in the way that this did say before, is it had the name. The name from the variable. Well, we're not currently passing that in. So let's go ahead, just as part of this, let's get the actual name. And down here, we're going to need to send in the name. But we don't know the name right here. So let's set the name. Name is equal to ME items sub I sub 1. So now we have our name. You now pass that in. I can actually do a test print name, not the text value. There we go. ME view. 10 Nugget. Now that's what we want to print. So we're in this function here. We've went through our troubleshooting. We've printed off of our variables. Nothing's broken at this point. So now we want to print this. So in here, I'm going to go ahead and do a call to the center text. Center T. And let's look through the variables that we need. They are the text. So the first part of the text is, say, we'll print the name. So send in name. Which line do we want it on? Well, right now, A is our only variable we have. We don't want to put in a hard-coded value of 2 because then it'll print every line on line 2. We want to use a variable that kind of loops. Well, if I put it on here as A, the issue at that point is A is going to increment no matter if the items match or not, because it's going to loop through everything in the ME. So this will be line 1, this will be line 2. If I just wanted to print line 2, it's going to be lower than, and there's going to be a blank spot because I'm not going to have it print on line 1 if it doesn't match. So we really can't use A, so let's think about that. Let's use a variable. Let's see, it would need to be called from our first loop. Here's our first loop. So let's go ahead and start a new variable here. This variable will be row, and we'll set it to 1. So now we've got row set. Where will we increment row? Row will be used here, so this will be row. And then after this if statement, if they're true, end, and then we'll put it in here for row equals row plus 1. Alright, that'll keep incrementing it by 1 for each time that we get into this loop. Alright, so now we got the row added. We now need our background color. Let's do colors.black, and let's use that blue text again. Colors.blue. And this is a left, because this is the name. So in this case, it's 10 Nugget. Don't forget to end that one. So now we also want to send the value. So if, we don't want an if, center t, the value in our case is, we're not getting the value. We print off the name, we print off the number, but we never print off that item's value. So value is equal to the ME list sub a dot, was it size or count? Size. So I got it right. I think that's all right. So we'll say value is the end there, and then this will need to be on the same row. So it hasn't incremented yet, so we're good. It'll still be on the same row. At this point, it's still row 1, so we're going to have to figure that one out. I may have to add some to it. What if we go ahead and just do it row, and it'll be 2 more than whatever it gets set to. Then next is our color. Colors.black, colors.green, and right. Done. I think I just deleted something. I moved that up to there. Okay. And for some reason I was doing all this if statement without formatting. Done. So right now it's all going to, hopefully, if this goes right, we're going to actually do one extra change, and we're going to call the clear function to the check table function. So this is our main function here. This calls everything. So if I do clear screen, and then go down here into bottom, I don't need this function down here anymore. Did I do it right? I did. And at this point, we're printing 10 Nugget. Now you see something there. Little decimal point. It always thinks to put it out there as a number, no matter what it is. Emmy view. This is our value. Well, we need to do our value as a string. So we can either fix it here, or we can fix it down there. I guess I'll fix it here. We'll do toString around that whole thing. Save, exit, Emmy view. Did I fix it? No decimal. We're green. Check Nugget. Well, now how do we get the lower? Edit, Emmy view. We have our low variable of 64, but we never use it. So this is our positive if it's above. So what we need to do is say use the count of that. So the count is the actual value, which is our value. Here we go. So if, now we need to do this one as a number, because we're already converting it to a string. If the toNumber value, okay, so now say it's less than 64, less than or equal to low, then we want to do it differently. Else, we want to do it with green text. And there's our end statement. So let's do our red text. Same as below. Value, row plus 2, colors.black. The only difference is this will be colors.red. And this will also be right. Done. We should now, ME view if I didn't break anything. Take this. We're not looping, but let's go ahead and just grab all those out of there. Rerun the function again, and it's in red. So now to loop, and we're done. ME view. Edit ME view. We're going to do our standard Lua programming while loop. While true, do something. Well, what do we want to do? We want to call check table, and we want to sleep. We want to put that sleep in there. If not, it's going to constantly be refreshing and checking the ME system. We don't want to do that because it's bad just on if you're on a server, you're local, doesn't matter. Shouldn't be. You should always have at least a sleep of 1 in there. In this case, since we're pulling ME values, it's not going to be updating that frequently. So we're just going to go ahead and set it to sleep 10. And we'll put our end in. At that point, I think we have the full function. ME view. We can now see, and if I take 256, take off 1 set, 10 seconds or 10 ticks go by, and now it's updated. And I can put those back in. Now, just for the point of being able to show you how to modify, edit ME view, because one of the things is you're going to go to try to build in more items, a second item to your array. Well, if you want to do that, first of all, you need to add a comma after your first item. So I've just added a comma. I've returned down to the second line. So on the second line, I'm going to do 2 is equal to, and again, I showed you how to look up the items. I'm going to do a couple that I know have been looked up. We'll do lead nugget. I just hit carriage return. There we go. And that is a thermal foundation material. And that one is value 99. End bracket. I'm going to do another comma because I'm going to add another one. 3 is equal to. We'll do this one as something different. We'll do the iron nuggets from Tinker's construct, which I've already looked up is T construct materials, has an S on it, and its value 19. And end the bracket. Comma, we'll do one for iron ingots, like I showed before. So 4 equals iron ingot, comma, this one's a vanilla, so it's Minecraft, comma, iron ingot, and its value metadata 0. End our bracket here. Our function's still good. Let's go ahead and save that. ME view. Still, we only have 10 nugget. So we added a few other things. We added lead nugget from thermal foundation. Now, if I add any of the other ones, they will not show up. I need to specifically for that. And let's add more than we had before. There we go. So try to get this one over 1,000. Good job. Alright. We also added iron nuggets from Tinker's construct. And we'll add one of those. And then last is the iron ingot. And it's the vanilla. So Minecraft. Could have been a different one. If it's a different material, iron really doesn't have one. And we'll go ahead and add those in. And it's auto-refreshing, but now we can see we've already messed up. That +2 has pushed things way too far. That's why you always need to test. Edit, ME view. So where's our count? There's our count. Saying +2 plus our row. So our row keeps getting incremented. It should only increment if it matches. So it should be inside that. Row equals row plus 1. Let's take that off. Let's see if that's a little better. ME view. Oh, that's so much better. And we can see our red. We have our iron nuggets. We have our iron ingots. And again, you can do color coordination for this. If I wanted ingots to show up differently, edit ME view. All I need to do is change a variable in here, or I could even add it to this. So I can then say what is the column color if I wanted to. So I could add a variable in saying colors dot red, and it'll be red text. And then I would just need to set a variable in here to assign to that, or pass it in with the name, and then call it here. So again, we would be able to do that. In this case, we're not. But that is the function. Hopefully you guys have learned from that. And again, send me any requests you need if you guys want to talk through any of the functions. I'm always over at player.me. You can find me there. I've helped other people within chats, walked them through the code. So again, hit me up, and I'll talk to you guys later.